Sometimes a woman just needs a little harmless fun.
I think I didn't do anything wrong. Just enjoyed a little harmless attention. That's what I told everyone. But when my husband slid across the table a copy of my hotel check-in time, my excuses died in my throat. And the next thing he handed me was even worse. Legal papers. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible stories. At home, everything felt slow, heavy, predictable. Michael came in each night with his tie loosened, dropped his bag by the door, and went straight for his ledger or the news. I told myself he wasn't cruel, just boring. And boring, to me, felt like a kind of cruelty. When I scrolled my phone at night, Ryan's messages lit up the screen. Quick jokes, compliments about my dress at the last meeting, little lines that made me feel alive again. I told myself it was harmless, just workplace banter. When Michael asked why I smiled at my phone so much lately, I said the group chat was making fun of the boss. He nodded, trusting, and I turned that trust into cover. My mother said it was natural for me to want more attention, that men like Michael always got too serious with age. She told me I shouldn't let him cage me in. Robert, his brother, muttered that Michael should open his eyes before it was too late. I laughed in his face, saying he was bitter because no one flirted with him. At the office, Ryan leaned against my desk, saying we should grab drinks after work. I acted hesitant, but inside, I already knew I'd go. When Michael called that afternoon to ask if I'd be home for dinner, I told him a client's presentation had run over. He said he'd save me a plate. The guilt should have stung, but instead I felt smug at how easy it was to bend the truth. As I packed my bag at 5, Ryan sent the address, the hotel bar near the office. I told myself it was professional, just drinks. But I wore perfume Michael had given me years ago, and the thrill of doing it in secret made me walk faster. When I left the building, I felt like I had stepped out of marriage and into freedom, if only for a few hours. The hotel bar was dim and warm, nothing like our quiet kitchen at home. Ryan already had a table, 2 glasses waiting. He said he liked how I laughed at his jokes, that his own co-workers never listened the way I did. I leaned in, smiling too much, letting myself feel young and wanted again. My phone buzzed, Michael's name glowing on the screen. I flipped it over without answering. Ryan noticed, and I joked that my husband was probably asking what I wanted for dinner. We both laughed like it was nothing. Later, I snapped a photo of the cocktails, posting it with a caption about team drinks after a long day. Clever enough, cropping Ryan's hand out of the frame. My friends commented, teasing me for finally having fun. It gave me a rush. When I finally left the bar, Ryan walked me toward the elevator. He said I deserved someone who noticed me. I told him not to flatter me, but my cheeks burned with the thrill. I didn't think twice when I signed the hotel register for a room later. I told myself no one would ever see it. Back home that night, Michael asked if I was exhausted. I said the meeting had been brutal, that I'd gone out for one quick drink before heading home. He nodded and served me the reheated plate. His calm felt almost too calm, but I told myself he was just glad I was home safe. The next day at the office, a coworker winked, asking if I'd had fun at the hotel. My heart skipped, but I laughed it off, saying it was a boring client meet. Inside, though, I wondered who had seen me, and how much they had noticed. The weekend came with a dinner out, just us and a few friends. I wanted to look dazzling, so I wore a dress Michael once bought me, thinking it was funny to use his gift for my show. At the restaurant, I leaned into every joke, made sure the table's attention stayed on me. Someone asked how married life was going. I smirked and said sometimes a woman needs harmless fun because men get too serious too soon. Laughter rippled, but when I glanced at Michael, his expression didn't change. I pressed harder. I said I couldn't even tease a waiter without Michael sulking, that he acted like any smile I gave was a betrayal. Friends chuckled nervously. Michael didn't argue, just cut his food slowly, his silence more cutting than words. My mother, who had come along, said I was right, that men needed to stop being so possessive. That gave me fuel. I told everyone I had no patience for jealous types. Across the table, Robert's face darkened. He told me I was humiliating Michael, that no decent husband deserved that. I rolled my eyes, calling him bitter and uptight. Michael stayed still, letting me win in the moment, or so I thought. On the ride home, I told him he should lighten up, that everyone knew I was only joking. He nodded once, staring out the window. Later, as I changed, I noticed the faint light from his study. He was at the desk, the printer whirring. I assumed it was his accounting paperwork and ignored it. What I didn't see was the hotel's digital receipt in his hand, my name and check-in time printed clearly across the top. At his parents' house for Sunday dinner, I decided to flip the story in my favor. I told everyone Michael had become controlling, that he hated when I laughed too loud or spoke freely. I painted myself as the lively wife trapped with a joyless husband. My mother nodded along, saying I needed space to breathe. That made me bold enough to add that Michael should be grateful people still found me attractive. But Robert cut in, saying I wasn't charming. I was reckless. He told the room everyone had heard whispers about me at a hotel bar. My cheeks burned, but I forced a laugh, saying gossip always followed confident women. Michael's parents exchanged worried glances, but Michael stayed silent, eating calmly, as if nothing touched him. I thought his quiet was weakness. What I didn't realize was that while I mocked him, he already had the hotel record folded neatly in his jacket pocket, waiting for the right moment to use it. That evening, Michael finally called me to the kitchen table. He placed a folder in front of me without a word. I opened it, expecting bills, but froze. Inside was the hotel record with my name, the exact check-in time highlighted. My stomach dropped. He had proof. I tried everything. I laughed, said it was a mistake. I cried, saying it was only harmless flirting, that nothing happened. I accused him of being obsessive, of digging into private records. But he didn't raise his voice. He only said the children deserved honesty and stability. My mother shouted at him later, claiming he was cold-hearted for keeping evidence like that. Robert told him he had finally done the right thing. Michael didn't argue with either of them. He simply laid another set of papers on the table, divorce and custody filings, already sealed by the court. My excuses died in my throat as the weight of those pages settled over me. We met in a quiet cafe the next day. I came early, hoping to soften him with charm, rehearsing excuses in my head. When he arrived, he didn't even order coffee. He slid an envelope across the table. Inside were finalized divorce papers and a custody schedule, each stamped official. On top, he had placed a copy of the hotel record, my name printed bold. I begged, saying it meant nothing, that I only wanted attention, that he was throwing away years over a misunderstanding. He shook his head, saying it wasn't a misunderstanding. It was a choice, and choices had consequences. His calm hurt more than shouting ever could. Around us, people laughed and talked, unaware my life was collapsing. My mother later tried to defend me, but even she fell quiet when she saw the documents. Robert told him he had shown real dignity. Michael left the cafe without looking back, while I sat clutching papers I could never undo. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you don't miss the next story. Write in the comments from which city you are watching.